So as we said last time with overrated, underrated, we're now designating one of us has to argue on one side, one the other. So Jim put up the arcade stick controllers, and Jim is going to do underrated. I'm going to do overrated. So there's no point giving backstory. Jim actually does. What do you have? 2 different arcade sticks?
Well, I have the one for the 360, and I think that's the only arcade stick I have.
PS3 one.
Nah, I don't.
Okay. So Jim has it, and for those of you who aren't aware, it seemed to be. I'm sure they have for Xbox One, but for 360 and PS3, I know it was a lot more popular. They did Street Fighter editions, Mortal Kombat editions.
I mean, every single generation's had them, even going back to like the NES Advance or Advantage.
So the high level, what I will say about these is that they're primarily made for fighting games.
For the most part.
So, Jim, you're underrated. So let me hear you defend why arcade sticks are underrated.
Look,
controllers.
Brian, so maybe you have to put out a little bit more cost-wise for these.
All right.
Let me ask you a simple question, though.
Before we do that.
All right.
I looked at the prices, at least for newer consoles.
They really vary.
They do. And let's say you're not going to go out and just buy dirt cheap shit.
Like you can buy they go from like $50, you can be spending $300 fucking bucks.
Okay, so I was just going to leave it at like, let's say 50, 60 is an average, right?
Maybe like 100.
Okay.
For an okay one. Okay. For a pretty good one.
So you tell me why a $100 arcade stick. Tell me why it's underrated, Jim.
Well, let's put it this way, Bri. If you're going to be spending money on controllers, won't you want the most control you can possibly have, the most accuracy, the best input, just the best way to do it in general, especially if you're playing an arcade game? Wouldn't you want to have the true experience?
So why wouldn't I go to the arcade?
Find an arcade. Find an arcade that isn't a barcade.
MAME.
All right, if you're playing with MAME, though, wouldn't you just love to have that experience with you? To have an arcade stick controller to do that? You're not going to want to use a controller for old school arcade games. You're not going to use mouse and keyboard and go click, 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 click. It's not how you're going to do it. You want to have that. You want to have that clicky stick. You want to have those buttons right there, ready for the pinpoint accuracy. And let's put it this way: say for the Switch, new set of Joy-Cons, you're paying like $80. Why wouldn't you just put a few more bucks out there just
Why
to
would
get?
You need to buy a new set?
If you have friends over, regardless, maybe you like having all the different colors. I don't know. But if you're going to go that route, why don't you just spend... Sure, you could buy the PlayStation Pro controller, but that's like any other controller out there. That's almost barely, some could say, an improvement over the Joy-Cons. I mean, it feels better, but it's not like you're really getting all that much of an advantage. But what if you just have an arcade stick for $100 then? Say you're using it for Smash. Say you're using it for the SNK collections and shit like that. For your perfect control. Why wouldn't you just go that route? Why don't you just spend just a little bit more for the long run of permanent fun and not being able to say, oh, goddamn controllers, if I had a good controller, this would have worked better. Or if I had a pure arcade input, I would have been the player that I could be. Sometimes you got to pay just a little bit more, Bri, just to have the better experiences in life.
Okay. So what I'll say is, I mean, with regular controllers, I already always win. So there's that. Let's just put that out there.
Okay.
I mean, other than maybe Street Fighter 2, there's not a game you're beating me at with regular controllers.
All right.
So we'll just throw that little daffodil out there. So we just got done talking about games you're going to pay for. You're talking about $100, Jim. You're okay at math, right?
Uh-huh. Debatable.
But let's say really high level, fucking amazing games are on sale for $5 a game.
Right.
How many $5 games should you get for $100, Jim?
You can get a lot.
So right there, you just waste it all on a controller that essentially you could only play with one game style, fighting games. Because let's face it, you're not going to be playing Grand Theft Auto with your arcade stick.
True.
You're not going to, maybe a shoot 'em up.
Shooters you can do, definitely.
I could say maybe, but let's be honest. The comfort level is a big issue with those arcade sticks because after a while, your hand will get a lot more tired going like this versus just holding a controller and being comfortable.
What, are you playing a Neo Geo with your friggin' angle here?
Listen, when you're playing your arcade your little stick when you have your stick in your hand, when you're holding something in your hand like you're used to.
I was waiting for the dick joke there.
All I'm saying is, well, do you like being comfortable, Jim?
I tend to like it.
Do you like it? All right. So, do you want to be comfortable or uncomfortable?
They sit right in your lap. They're very comfortable.
So, when you have an Xbox 360 or Xbox One controller in your hand, or you got to put that goddamn pad on your lap, what's going to be more comfortable, Jim? Or you got to sit on a table and hunched over like a goddamn masturbator. What are you going to be more comfortable with?
I don't know, Bri.
What are you going to be more comfortable with, Jim?
I think if it just sits right there, and if a well-built machine that just sits right on your lap, you can make work.
And when you're really in a game, what's the number one thing people...
Right, if you watch Evo, they're just all sitting with their arcade sticks on their dicks.
It's funny you brought up Evo, because here's the deal. I actually... A few weeks ago, I don't know how I fell down the YouTube trail of watching competitive fighting games. Yeah, like somehow... So we're talking Tekken, Street Fighter, Smash. You know what all of them did? They were using controllers, because I don't know if this is true, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Internet. I feel like when you do those competitions, it's mandatory you use the controller for the system you're using, and you're not allowed to use those things when you're in competition. This is what I saw. Everyone had controllers for the system they were using.
Could depend on the event. Could.
All right, so some of them were Evo. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
So right there, and that goes into my next thing. If you got to be a little bitch to try and pay for an advantage in a fighting game because you're just not good enough because you lose to someone like meh, then here's my problem. You're the same type of guy that's going to play PUBG or Call of Duty on the Xbox and use keyboard and mouse because it's a little quicker. And we've dealt with people like this, and we've seen videos of those people.
Right, if you're going to spend the money on the game, why not get the most out of the game with perfect control?
Because here's the deal, Jim.
Why limit yourself? Why you ever limit yourself in life, Brian?
It's the same reason of if you play football or you play basketball or baseball, throw any sport out there, why not just do steroids? Because it's illegal, and it's a bitch move. So basically, if you're trying to
to be fair, sports are never more exciting than when people are roided up. Look at baseball. It's never recovered since the roided era.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with that, but it's being a little bitch because you just can't step up to the competition.
I say it's not only enhancing your game, it's enhancing the experience for everyone around you.
Well, it's not if not everyone's doing the same thing.
Maybe they should.
But that's an illegal substance, Jim, and I look at that controller like you're being a little bitch. And unless you're going against someone who has it, like if me and you are playing side by side, maybe. But you know what? If me and you were going to play side by side, why don't we go out to an arcade? Why don't we not just be little trolls in our basement? And why don't we go out and play?
That's fine.
Now, if you have
because then we'd be using an arcade stick controller.
Yes,
which is the optimal way to do it.
But no. We're not talking about.
So now we're leaving the comfort of the home to go to the optimal way to do it.
We're not talking about the arcade experience. We're talking about at your home buying a simulated arcade stick, which you're going to waste $100, which we already established. You already agreed with me on that because we can all agree.
I've never once said it was a waste.
We can all agree.
Never once said it was a waste
because you could get 20 games for that, Jim. That's 20 flower games you could get.
But why would I waste the money on 20 games? Why would I waste the money on 20 games when I can have one game and have the best experience I can and get my true money's worth out of that game?
So
instead of buying 20 games I'll never play, Brian. You bitch at me all the time about having all these games I never play.
And let's also analyze this. I've seen you use that, and I still beat you. So it didn't up your game that much.
To be fair, that one's not the best. It came in a bundle for a greatest hit.
I know, because most of them aren't good. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to spend your money and you think this is going to be a thing that gives you an advantage, you're the same person that buys a self-help book. And you're like, I can't get my shit together. Maybe this thing will guide my life. This will be the thing that sets my ass straight.
I'm buying the secret so I can pick up women.
So here's the deal. Don't waste your money. You don't need the advantage. Get better with the controller. And don't be a troll like Jim. That's all I'm saying. Do I have an arcade stick? No, because I can whoop you with just a regular. You can even give me a fucking Mad Catz third-party controller that's falling apart, and I'm still going to be like, boom, boom.
Boom, boom.
That's right.
Goddamn.
So at the end of the day, we all know arcade sticks are overrated. If you're a hardcore fighting fan, learn to use the controllers. If you're that good with the arcade stick, go to the arcade. Run that shit against the 8-year-olds that are playing it. If you're a grown man and you got balls, and we covered this last time, Jim, we know who does have balls and who doesn't.
That's what I have to say to that.
You know they're overrated. I wish I had my suitcase so I could close it.
God damn it. We're going to have to start bringing props into this shit.
That's right. So you guys sound off. Let us know what you think.